our learning objective today is to compare and order decimals. So this builds on from what we were learning yesterday. So to start with, I'd like you to recap what we learnt yesterday by comparing these numbers using the greater than, less than and equals symbol. So I'll go through the first example with you. This number, we've got 1.5 and 1.5. They both have the same amount of ones and the same amount of tenths. So that must mean I need the equal symbol because they are equal. Have a go at these numbers yourself. You don't need to submit these onto eSchools. I'm going to ask you to self-mark those in a second. So you might want to pause the video now to have a go at those questions. Okay, so I'm going to put the answers up now and go through a couple of examples. Okay, so 0.75 is greater than 0.74. 5.05 is less than 5.5, and that's because they both have 5 ones, but this one doesn't have any tenths and this one has 5 tenths, so it is greater. 0.9 is less than 0.99. They both have 0 ones and 9 tenths, but this number has 9 hundredths and this number doesn't have any hundredths, so that's why this one is larger. 3.32 is greater than 3.31. 0.01 is greater than 0.001. And this is tricky because we haven't looked at numbers with this many numbers after the decimal point. Okay, so they both don't have any ones or tenths, but this number has 1/100th and this number has no hundredths, but it does have 1,000th. So self-mark those before we move on to the next part. So we're now going to look at ordering numbers with decimals. Yesterday we were comparing 2 numbers. We're now going to compare more than 2 numbers. So again, I'll start off by looking at the ones column. These 3 numbers all have just 1 1. So I'll look at the tenths. This has 6 tenths, 1 tenth and 3 tenths. Okay? So I know that this one is the smallest because it only has 1 tenth. I know that this one goes next because it has 3 tenths. And this one is the largest, it has the most tenths because it has 6 tenths. So I've got 0.4, 3.7 and 1.4. I'll look at the ones column. This doesn't have any ones. This one has 3 ones and this one has 1 1. So this one must be the smallest because it doesn't have any ones. This one goes next because it has 1. And this number is the largest because it has 3 ones. Now we've got 5 numbers here. 3.4, 3.7, 0.1, 7.9 and 0.7. I'll start off with the ones. So this has 3 ones, 3 ones, no ones, 7 ones and 0 ones again. So I'll look at these 2 a bit more closely because they both have the fewest ones. This one has 1 tenth and this number has 7 tenths. I know this one must be the smallest then because it's got the lowest amount of tenths out of these 2 numbers. And then this one goes next. Next, I know that these 2 will come because they've got 3 ones each. But to decide which order they go in, I'll look at the tenths column. Now this one has got 4 tenths and this one has 7 tenths. So this one comes next. Okay, and then it is this one. Now this one is the largest because it has the largest amount of ones. It has 7 ones. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the questions that you will see when you're doing the question sheet today. So the place counters below make 3 different decimals, and I'd like you to write them in ascending order. So I'll go through the first one. The first one has 4 ones, 2 tenths and 3 hundredths. So that number must be 4.23. Have a go at working out what these numbers are and then putting them in ascending order. Ascending means going from smallest to largest. Okay, pause the video now to have a go at that. Okay, I'll go through the answers. This is 2.12. 2 ones, 1 tenth and 2 hundredths. The bottom number is 3.26. 3 ones, 2 tenths, 6 hundredths. In ascending order, they are 2.12, 3.26 and 4.23. You can self-mark that if you wrote your answer down. Now, the decimals below are in ascending order. So remember, that means going from smallest to largest. Now, which decimal completes the sequence? So I'm going to look at all of these numbers. They all have 5 ones. But I'm looking for a number that has got between 0.38 and 0.62. So I know that this one is too large, okay, because it's larger than 5.62 because it has got more hundredths. This number might fit, okay, we've got 5 ones, 4 tenths and 7 hundredths. So that is larger than this number, but smaller than this one. Okay, I'll have a look at these ones just to check my answer. We've got 5 ones, 3 tenths, but 4 hundredths. So that means it's smaller than this number, so that can't go. This one has got 5 ones, 2 tenths and 2 hundredths. Again, it's smaller than this number, so it won't fit. So 5.47 fits into that sequence. Now, where would each decimal go on the number line? So I have a number line with 6 at one end and 7 at the other. And I can count up, and each one of these is worth 1 tenth. So 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.7, 6, oh, I think I've got confused there. I think this one's 6.7, 6.8, 6.9 and 7. Okay, so they go up by 1 tenth each time. Now, I'm going to look at where these would go on the number line. So I'm going to start with the smallest, which I know is this one because it doesn't have any tenths. Now, that means it will go before this one. It'll go in between these two lines because it hasn't got any tenths yet. And it'll go halfway because it's it's got 0.05. The next number that I'm going to look at is this one because it's the next biggest. Now 6.29, so I'll count along 6.1, 6.2, and then we'll go along because it's got that 0.9, that 9 hundredths. It's going to be nearly at 6.3, but not quite. Okay, the next one that we'll look at is this one, 6.75. Okay, so I know I need to count along to 0.7, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7. Okay, and then we've got that 5 hundredths there, so it'll be halfway along because it's got that 5. And the final number is 6.81. Okay, so I know I need to count along to 6.8, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, and then add a little bit more because we've got that 100th. Okay, a quicker way to have worked this one out is that I know that this one is 6.7 because I just worked it out for this one. Okay, so I know that the next one along will be 6.8. Now, for this question, we need to say whether each row of decimals is in descending order. Okay, now descending means going from largest to smallest. So let's check. We start with 5.28 and we're going down, okay, 5.24, 5.17, 5.06. So yes, I think this one is in descending order. We're going from largest to smallest. If you like, you can pause the video here to see if you can check whether these ones are in descending order. Okay, I'm going to go through the answers now. This one we've got 7.22, 7.29, 7.43 and 7.48. I don't think this one is in descending order. I think this one is in ascending order. It's going from smallest to largest because the tenths and the hundredths are increasing. For this one, we have 3.48, 3.23, 3.18, 3.19. This is not in descending order. Okay, although we go from largest to smallest here, okay, this is not in the correct order, okay, because 3.19 is larger than 3.18. That's because it's got an extra hundredth. So no, this one is not in descending order. Now let's check our answers. Here we go. Now, so your task today is to complete the worksheet. There are two options. The first one is if you're feeling less confident, and the second one is if you're feeling more confident. Okay? They both have the same questions, just like we've been through on this video. Now, question 3 will ask you to draw arrows to show each decimal on the number line. If you are writing the answers into your book, what I'd like you to do instead is to order those numbers, okay, from smallest to largest. Okay, so you don't need to write the number line. I'd like you to submit your work the usual way that you do on eSchools, and your teacher will mark it.